Hi, Donald here with Floating Feathers Kayak Fly Fishing School and Crescent Kayaks. And today I am standing here with the crew. This is the latest from Crescent Kayaks, released last November. It is their longest kayak to date. It is 13 feet long. It is 35 inches wide, so it's also their widest kayak to date. And it weighs 75 pounds. So you guessed it, heaviest kayak to date as well. So numbers real quick again, 13 feet long, 35 inches wide, and 75 pounds. It has an unbelievable capacity of 600 pounds. That is a massive amount of weight you can put in here. Now, I want you to understand that 600 pounds with the scupper plugs installed. Without the scupper plugs, it's probably going to be a little over 500. So if you're approaching that 500 pound mark with your passenger, your passenger, and your gear, go ahead and pop the scupper plugs in. Much better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. So this is what's known as a tandem kayak, or really in the industry, it's called a 2+1 kayak. And the reason a 2+1 is a little bit different than a tandem is that a tandem is designed specifically for two persons or two passengers or front and rear passenger. And the seats are not that much, are usually not that configurable to a different configuration. In a 2+1 kayak, you can rearrange the seating to have two seats or one seat. And Crescent Kayaks has been making tandem kayaks for 10 plus years. And they know a thing or two about tandems, and they've made a few of these 2+1 models. This is their latest one. Now, what that means is configuration, seat configuration. So this is the two-seater, right? You got a front seat and a rear seat, balanced really well for the boat, for the design. However, if you want to paddle this solo, you're just going to slide this seat right up there. This seat comes out, and now you have a single solo 13-foot boat, and it paddles extremely well. Whether you're in a solo position or a tandem position, it paddles very, very well. And we're going to get on the water at the end of this video, and we're going to go through some footage and shoot that for you and show you that. But that is a single configuration, so that is the difference between a tandem and a 2+1. This is the +1, and this is a 2. So 2+1, right? Okay, so all that industry mumbo jumbo out of the way. This boat, just like all the other Crescent kayaks and those that have paddled Crescent kayaks before, this has that signature paddle performance that Crescent has become known for. It paddles extremely well, takes little effort, and maneuvers great, and that's in these single or tandem positions. Single passenger, one or two passengers, and only one person paddling. It paddles it very, very well. Some of the best features, and we're going to start up here at the front. And then it's got a nice bulbous nose, very much like the light tackle does. So that bulbous nose is going to allow this front end of the kayak to ride up high on the water. So that keeps your, even with weight from here from loading it down with equipment or supplies or whatever, or even the front passenger up here. That's going to keep that front end up out of the water a little bit. It's going to allow you to maneuver a little bit better, and it's going to try to keep these people a little bit drier and out of that water from coming over the top of the boat. It's got a full-length keel down the entire length of this boat, so that is going to keep it tracking extremely well. It stays very straight, very true. It has a very defined rocker, so kind of like the light tackle, my walkthrough video on that. If you remember, it's kind of a banana shape. And that banana shape means that there is minimal amount of boat touching the water that you need touching the water to, one, allow that full-length keel to keep you tracking true and straight, but also to keep that minimal amount of kayak in the water so you can churn it much easier. So this maneuvers like a shorter boat, but it tracks like a longer boat. It tracks like a 13-foot boat, but it maneuvers about like an 11-foot boat. So there's a very, very nice blend and combination of those two things. I'm going to start up here and kind of go through some features for you. It has rotor molded handles throughout. It has one in the front, it has one on each side in the middle, and two rear handles. So we're just going to kind of come through and I'm going to point something out here at the back. So here's your two middle handles, and then here at the rear, there's two handles, one on each side, and this is extremely, extremely great if you're gonna, for loading and unloading this kayak, especially if you're on a car top or not, it's very nice to have two handles so you can get all that weight and get this maneuvered a little bit better, because this is just a wider than the front is, right? That front comes to a more of a nose, right? When your stern here is a little bit wider. So having a handle on each side really helps you with loading and unloading this boat and carrying it, keep it balanced a little better. So back up to the front here for just a moment. Front handle, we have these molded in footrests for the front passenger. There is no track, so there's no foot pegs, but we have these molded in footrests, and they work extremely well. What that helped do is help keep that bulbous nose and that nice bow come into a very nice defined bow here, rather than having it very wide. And it still lets that passenger up front, that paddler up front, have a very nice place to put his or her feet. It has enough side to get the side of your foot on. It has enough bottom to get your heel grab. So you can really put your legs and hips into that paddling and get really good performance from the front position as well. Moving back, I'll come back to these tracks in just a few moments. But moving back, we're gonna, there's a cup holder on either side of the front passenger, and that's really nice, very nice deep for your bigger water bottles and things like that. It has a bungee so you can get a little oversized stuff in there. You got your front seat, and I'm gonna move this for just a moment, and you're gonna see a foot track here and also a foot track here. And what that allows is that when you put this seat in the single solo position, these foot pegs will now ride up here, and you just pop these out and you pop them front here and slide them where you need to. That allows this passenger or this solo paddler position in the solo paddle to have footrests. It doesn't hurt anything in the tandem configuration because this seat sits right next to here. You're never gonna, it doesn't bother with the passenger up here by any means, and it's not gonna affect the gear if you pack it. But if you are packing this for solo, then this seat won't be there and you're not gonna have to worry about your foot pegs will be here anyway. So moving back just a little bit more. And so we just mentioned those footrests, the foot rests, foot pegs on either side for the rear passenger or for the single solo, just pop them up front here. You've got little stash areas here for things like sunblock or sunglasses. If you're fishing, put pliers and things like that. You notice there's a little place up here, a little indent right here, and that's actually ready for to put a rudder on this if you want to put a rudder, or if you decide to put a trolling motor and you want to have foot steering. It's got a little indent right here where you can run those rudder cables or those motor turning cables all the way to the stern of the boat. Right back here, we've got rear cup holders on either side and big cup holders on either side. And again, it holds their big water bottles and things like that. So it expands, so you can get some very nice sized stuff in here. I'm going to come back to your rear tank wells. I'm going to fold this down a little bit. Very nice oversized tank well in the back. Bungee cord. It's got a very cut through here. There's nothing. It goes all the way to the bottom of the deck of the boat. So if you need to put something a little bit longer back here, it's really nice. You don't have to worry about it coming up over a transom or anything like that here. You've got your little outdents here, or as you want to call them. That's for your rudder from up here. Your rudder cables can come out here and go to your motor or your rudder or anything like that. So you're going to notice these scupper plugs. We've got one here just behind this, the rear seat. You got one just in front of the rear seat. One almost in the middle of the boat. This will be actually just in front of the seat in the solo position. And then you have one just in front of the front seat. So that is all of the boat, if you will. A couple things I want to point out, and I'm going to try to move this just a little bit so you can see something here. So, if you notice, this rear seat is a little bit higher than this front seat. And the seats aren't actually higher, they're not made differently. It's the way that the deck of this boat is higher in the back. And if you see, this is about 1.5 to 2 inches higher. What that means is the person sitting back here doesn't have to stare at the back of the person's head in here. They can look over their head just a little bit and kind of see what's coming up so they can prepare themselves. And just to help you understand that it's not the chairs are exactly the same, I'm going to swap these out. So as you can see, the chairs are exactly the same. It's the deck that's different, right? The deck is made to be higher in the back. So that gives you a little more line of sight or a little better viewpoint from the rear seat than it does the front seat. One neat thing about this seat configuration is that if you have a small child or maybe you have a dog or something that you want to take with you, if you have a smaller child, they may not be able to see them very well over the back of the seat. So what you can do, flip that seat around, and now your front passenger is facing you. Still good leg room for a small child or a dog to sit up here, but it gives you a nice safety aspect of keeping an eye on that front passenger and being able to react a little bit better because you don't have the back of the seat in your way. So that's kind of a neat little feature. And what's great about Crescent Kayaks is all these seats and all of their, their light tackle, their ultralight, their Sup Plus, their Crew, all the chairs are exactly the same. There is no difference in the chairs, so they are all interchangeable. I'm going to flip this back around. So that is almost it. I'm going to flip this back up just a little bit, if I can. So, one thing I want to point out is that there are deck pads here and there are tracks. These do not come standard on the Crew. These are accessories and they are available on crescentkayaks.com. So go to their webpage, look at their accessories. The track kits are cut exactly right for the Crescent, for the Crew. It comes with all the hardware and everything else. Nice directions to tell you how to do that. Deck pad kits, as you can see up here, it says Crew here, so it's specifically cut and designed for the Crew. I like the deck pad. One, it offers a little sound dampening, so a little bit of sound dampening, so if you drop something. I also like it because it's a little less slick, so if I'm standing up or when I'm standing up fishing or anything like that, it gives me a little more traction. And the third reason, it's actually a little cooler in the summertime than the plastic is. These don't get as hot in this nice summer sun down here in South Alabama on the beach as the plastic does, so it's a little cooler to step on if you're in bare feet. So that is the Crescent Crew. It's great for camping, for expeditioning, if you want to take it for exploring somewhere, long trips, things like that. So in the single position, if you're going by yourself, you can really see how much room you have for gear. It is phenomenal amount of room. So if you're going fishing by yourself or if you're going exploring by yourself, you've got all this room to put a ton of gear. Your footrests are going to come up to here, so you've got all this front end up here to put sleeping bags and tents and everything else. So if you're looking for something to take camping, now keep in mind there is no dry storage, so you are going to have to invest in some dry bags. But the amount of room you have and that 600-pound capacity is going to allow you to put a lot of stuff on this boat. So if you're looking for something that paddles well, offers you something to come home and take the kids out, when you get back from your day of fishing or something and you want to take the kids out, this is a great boat to have. Pop that second seat in there, go have some fun. All right, so thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Everything will be, all the information for this boat, all the specs and everything else will be in the description below the video. So check it out. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know. And thank you all for watching. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, I'd very much appreciate it. Again, this is the Crew from Crescent Kayaks. Great boat. I mean, fantastic family-oriented kayak right here. So, what are you waiting for, right? Grab your Crew and get out on the water.